what Trump is calling the Save America Act. This is his attempt to fix the midterm election. So I brought this up during the monologue the other night, and I guess this didn't sit too well with one of the Schmitt heads on Newsmax who would like to report me to the authorities.
What the FCC is supposed to regulate, ABC breaks that law every single night, and it's about time that they learned a lesson for that. That is not a comedy show, that is propaganda.
I think of it as a little of both. Oh, they're such tattletales. Such little Karen. They're so worried about cancel culture until I come on, and then they're like, call the FCC. He's breaking the law. How does this not embarrass them?
Jimmy's a little upset with me. I think I hit a nerve again. We've been through this a couple of times already. It wasn't hard to do on this one. Earlier this week, Jimmy Kimmel was ranting, as he always does every night, as his entire monologue is every night, about, as usual, nonstop about Trump. And this time about the SAVE Act and how it's all some kind of a power grab by Republicans and Trump, despite the fact that 80% of the people in this country want us to have elections the way the rest of the first world does, that are actually secure, with ID, with citizens voting, things like that. Now, Kimmel likes to pretend that his show is not Democrat propaganda, but he obviously knows that it is. And he also knows that federally regulated broadcast networks like CBS, ABC, NBC are not allowed to be what his show is. These networks are not, ABC is not allowed to be what it is, and his show is not allowed to be what it is. Pure propaganda in a two-party system for one of the parties. It's not allowed to be that. He does it regardless, and here, just to show you, was the clip that set me off earlier this week that started all this.
Trump wants to make it as difficult for Democrats to vote as he possibly can under the guise of stopping voter fraud, even though there is no meaningful voter fraud.
So, yeah, it was he rattled off a whole bunch of anti-Trump. The entire monologue was all negative towards Trump and how much he hates him and how ridiculous he is. Every night, this man propagandizes his audience to vote the way that he wants them to. This is all ABC seems to do, from mornings with Good Morning America, run by George Stephanopoulos, to midday with The View, you know what that is, to nights with Jimmy Kimmel. ABC is brainwashing the American people. We continue to call it out because it is so brazen. And when Jimmy gets called out, he really likes to lash out because it hits a nerve with him. I woke up to this morning, all these liberal media headlines talking trash. Jimmy Kimmel goes nuclear on Newsmax host for trying to get him fired. Jimmy Kimmel rips Newsmax, tattletales demanding FCC investigation into him. It was all over the place. The truth is, as you see video here of the Man Show, that Jimmy Kimmel actually used to be funny. I used to like Jimmy Kimmel. He was a legitimate comedian for a long time. He also used to be an unapologetic man. He is no longer that. Now he mostly just cries and holds a nightly therapy session for Trump-deranged liberals. At some point, we lost Jimmy Kimmel. It didn't happen to his buddy Adam Carolla, though, I can tell you that. There is nothing also mainstream about Jimmy Kimmel any longer, except that he's still just barely on ABC. How does he have that job that he is so viciously corrupted? If Johnny Carson was still alive, he'd call Kimmel a fraud for what he has done to the craft that Carson created. Once ABC does rip him from that seat, he'll be another Don Lemon. He'll just be screaming his deranged BS from a corner of his house. That's who he is now. He's not a mainstream comedian. Why is he on a mainstream network? That's a great question. But for now, he just mocks Newsmax and pretends to be an important piece of the ABC dynasty and not the pricey liability that he is, propped up by toxic lefties in ABC's C-suite.
This channel, he's on Newsmax. I don't know if you see, they're literally on a payment plan right now. They owe $67 million for spreading Trump's election lies. They paid $20 million 2 months ago for their lies. They have to pay another $20 million in January of next year. But we're propaganda. Newsmax is to the Trump administration what the Fearless Flyer is to Trader Joe's.
Are we a conservative network? Yeah. But there's a difference. We're on cable. You have to pay to get us. ABC is injected into every single house in this country with a television. And that's where the FCC regulations come in, Jimmy. I know you're not the smartest guy in the world, but I think you should be able to see that. And that's where the problem comes. If Jimmy wanted to go be Joy Reid, go sit on MSNBC or go do a podcast, I couldn't care less. But you're not going to do this on ABC and not have me calling it out every single time I see it. And by the way, thanks for the free publicity to your modest audience that would be so much bigger if you were still actually a comedian. A reminder, your buddy George Stephanopoulos, Jimmy, who effectively runs ABC News now, just cost your company a pricey lawsuit as well for his sycophantism going the other way. At the end of the day, Jimmy knows I have a point. Imagine if NBC or CBS suddenly had Caroline Leavitt hosting the morning show and controlling the news product. Then at 11 a.m., you had 5 different conservative Fox and Newsmax women all hosting a gossipy political show. And then at 11 p.m., you had Greg Gutfeld come on for The Late Show that did nothing but slam the left. Think how Jimmy would respond to that on CBS or NBC. He'd be visibly weeping yet again on television like he always does, calling it fascism and saying the nation and democracy were being destroyed. And yet, that is exactly what has happened to ABC. That's exactly what they do. You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.